Growing fresh vegetables during a snowstorm without modern tools or electricity may seem impossible, but for the Amish, it's a way of life. Unlike the tech-dependent world, they use simple, time-tested methods to keep their greenhouses warm year-round. Using clever designs, natural materials, and a self-reliant lifestyle, they create productive growing spaces even in freezing winters. The Amish heat their greenhouses naturally with sunlight, compost, wood, and traditional wisdom, staying off the grid. This sustainable approach allows them to thrive in harsh weather conditions. For more off-grid living tips, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspiration. The Amish are a religious group with roots in the Anabaptist movement, which began in Europe during the 16th century. Seeking a simple, devout life separate from the modern world, the Amish split from other Mennonite groups in the early 1700s. They settled primarily in Pennsylvania and later expanded to other regions of the United States and Canada. Guided by a commitment to humility, community, and living under their interpretation of the Bible, the Amish rejected the use of most modern technologies. Their way of life is centered around farming, craftsmanship, and close-knit communities, with a focus on self-reliance and sustainability. These values are reflected in their unique approach to greenhouse farming and other aspects of daily life. At the heart of Amish greenhouse design is passive solar heating, an ancient but incredibly effective method that works with nature, not against it. The idea is simple. Capture the sun's heat during the day and store it to be released at night. Amish greenhouses are always strategically positioned. Builders orient the structures so that the longest wall faces south, which maximizes sunlight exposure. They use transparent materials like glass or polycarbonate for the walls and roof, which allows solar rays to flood the interior during daylight hours. But what happens after sunset? That's where thermal mass comes in. Inside the greenhouse, the Amish place materials like barrels filled with water, large stones, bricks, or even clay pots. These objects absorb heat during the day, storing it like a battery. At night, they release that warmth slowly, helping to regulate the internal temperature and reduce the risk of frost damage. In addition, they insulate the greenhouse using simple, natural materials. For instance, they stack straw bales along the base, or use thick layers of bubble wrap on the inner walls. Curtains made from quilted fabric or heavy wool are often pulled over windows at night. Some even build partial earth berms, essentially burying parts of the greenhouse to trap geothermal heat and block cold winds. This entire system requires no electricity, no fuel, and no moving parts, just smart design. It reflects the Amish philosophy of living in harmony with nature while embracing self-reliance. On bitterly cold days, the sun alone might not provide enough warmth, and that's when the Amish turn to another time-tested solution, the wood-burning stove. These stoves are small, efficient, and often built by hand using metal parts or recycled barrels. Positioned in the center or at strategic corners of the greenhouse, they heat the air and nearby objects evenly. In some setups, the stove is surrounded by water barrels or rocks that absorb excess heat, extending its effect well beyond the time the fire burns out. Amish families usually have a designated wood pile near their greenhouses. Firewood is cut and stacked during the warmer months as part of a community effort. This communal approach not only ensures a steady supply of fuel, but also reinforces social bonds and shared responsibilities. Venting is handled carefully. Chimneys or flue pipes direct smoke out of the greenhouse, ensuring safety while preserving heat. The result is a warm, breathable environment that can keep plants thriving, even when snow blankets the land outside. This method is 100% off-grid, renewable, and above all, reliable. It allows Amish greenhouses to function through long stretches of cloudy, freezing days when solar power alone would fall short. One of the most fascinating heating methods the Amish use is compost heat, also known as hotbeds. This technique transforms decomposing organic matter into a powerful source of warmth. Here's how it works. Farmers create a bed layer inside or beneath the planting area composed of manure, straw, and kitchen or garden waste. As the compost breaks down, microbial activity generates heat. This warmth rises through the soil, keeping plant roots comfortable even when the air is cold. These hotbeds are ideal for starting seeds early in the season or growing hardy crops like spinach, kale, or carrots in the middle of winter. It's nature's heating pad, free, abundant, and endlessly renewable. In some cases, Amish farmers build large compost piles just outside the greenhouse walls. As they decompose, these piles release heat that radiates inward through the walls. By turning the compost regularly, they ensure enough oxygen is present to keep the breakdown process active, maintaining internal pile temperatures well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's a bonus. The compost eventually breaks down into rich, fertile soil that can be used to nourish future crops. It's a closed-loop system. Warmth in the short term, healthy soil in the long term. No waste, no emissions, just pure sustainability. Inside the greenhouse, Amish farmers take another step to protect their most delicate plants by using cold frames. Cold frames are like mini greenhouses within the greenhouse. Usually made from salvaged wood and old glass windows, these small box-shaped structures sit right over planting beds. They trap a layer of warm air around the plants, creating an extra level of insulation. This greenhouse within a greenhouse effect allows the Amish to start seeds earlier, protect young seedlings. On extremely cold nights, it can make all the difference between a thriving harvest and a frost-damaged one. Cold frames are portable, simple to build, and don't rely on any power source. In the true Amish spirit, they are often made from recycled or repurposed materials, turning what others might throw away into tools of survival and productivity. Even the warmest greenhouse can lose its heat quickly if exposed to freezing wind. That's why the Amish use natural windbreaks and insulation techniques to protect their greenhouses from heat loss. Common windbreaks include rows of evergreen trees, tall wooden fences, and stacked hay bales. These buffers slow down cold winds, reducing the amount of chill that hits the greenhouse walls. The Amish often place greenhouses near barns or other buildings that can offer extra shielding. Inside the greenhouse, insulation is treated with the same care. Farmers hang quilts, wool blankets, or straw mats on the walls during especially cold nights. Some even install double-layered walls with an air pocket in between, trapping warm air and preventing heat from escaping. Another trick, painting the north-facing wall black to absorb heat, and placing reflective materials on the southern side to bounce sunlight deeper into the greenhouse. These subtle tweaks can have a big impact on how well the greenhouse retains warmth. Again, no electricity, no fancy tech. Just simple, smart, and effective design rooted in centuries of wisdom. A lesser-known but highly effective heating system used by some Amish families is a ground-to-air heat exchanger, often called a climate battery. This geothermal method is a marvel of natural engineering. The system involves burying a network of pipes beneath the greenhouse. During the day, warm air from inside the greenhouse is pulled down into the pipes, where it's stored in the relatively warm earth below. At night, the cooler air in the greenhouse is replaced with this stored heat as it flows back up through the pipes. What makes this even more incredible? The system operates without any electricity. Instead of fans or pumps, it relies entirely on natural air movement, convection, to circulate the heat. It's quiet, maintenance-free, and extremely energy efficient. This technique allows Amish greenhouses to stay warm even during extended cold spells, and it helps maintain a more stable internal temperature year-round. It's a perfect example of how Amish ingenuity leverages natural processes to solve modern problems. Row covers are another tool in the Amish winter gardening toolbox. These lightweight fabric sheets are draped directly over crops to trap heat and protect plants from frost and cold winds. They act like a blanket, creating a microclimate just a few degrees warmer than the surrounding air. Combined with cold frames and other methods, row covers help stretch the growing season well into the winter and allow early planting in the spring. They also provide a buffer against temperature swings, which can be especially damaging to tender young plants. Because they're reusable, inexpensive, and don't require any fuel or power, row covers are a natural fit for the Amish philosophy of simple, sustainable living. What ties all these heating methods together is the Amish lifestyle itself. Their entire way of life supports and enhances the effectiveness of these systems. For starters, they grow what makes sense for their climate: hardy vegetables like cabbage, carrots, turnips, kale, and spinach. These crops can survive in cooler temperatures, reducing the need for artificial heat. They also grow seasonally, starting seeds in cold frames and transplanting only when conditions are right. There's no rush, only patience, planning, and a deep respect for natural cycles. Manual labor plays a big role too. Whether it's chopping wood, turning compost, or insulating walls, every family member contributes. The community often pitches in, sharing knowledge, tools, and physical effort. This teamwork reduces dependency on machines and fuels while reinforcing bonds of cooperation and trust. Above all, the Amish don't view this as hardship. It's simply life. A beautiful life that stays in balance with the land, one that proves you don't need gadgets or power lines to live comfortably and productively. The Amish approach to winter farming is built on a deep understanding of nature's rhythms. While modern commercial farms rely heavily on energy-intensive methods to grow crops year-round, the Amish prefer to work in harmony with the seasons. They choose cold, hardy crops that naturally thrive in lower temperatures, ensuring a steady, sustainable harvest during the colder months without the need for excessive energy inputs. Among the top choices for winter crops are spinach, kale, collards, turnips, radishes, carrots, lettuce, beets, and Swiss chard. Spinach, for example, not only tolerates cold, but becomes sweeter after a frost, due to the increased concentration of sugars in its leaves. Kale and collards are staples in the Amish winter diet, prized for their resilience and nutrient density. Root vegetables like turnips and radishes develop well in cool soil, and with the protection of mulch or a greenhouse cover, they can be harvested well into winter. Carrots, when buried under mulch or grown inside a greenhouse, can even survive sub-zero temperatures, providing fresh produce even during the harshest months. Winter varieties of lettuce, such as butterhead and romaine, are selected for their frost tolerance and quick growth cycles. Beets and Swiss chard are also favored because they offer both edible roots and nutrient-rich leafy tops, providing a double harvest from a single plant. The Amish method is simple yet effective. They work with nature's cycles, rather than trying to force crops to grow in unnatural conditions. By focusing on crops that naturally flourish in the winter, they reduce the need for heating and ensure healthy, abundant harvests, demonstrating a sustainable way to farm that doesn't rely on modern, energy-hungry methods. In some Amish farms, greenhouses are strategically built next to barns, or even share a wall with livestock shelters. The reason behind this is the substantial body heat generated by animals like cows and horses. This natural heat source is harnessed through a technique known as biothermal heating. By sharing a wall, the animal's warmth radiates into the greenhouse, especially during cold nights when the animals are most active. Some Amish farmers take this concept even further by designing barns with underground tunnels that connect to the greenhouses. These tunnels allow warm air to circulate between the two structures, ensuring that the greenhouse remains warm without the need for any external heating systems. This approach highlights a key aspect of Amish living: efficiency and sustainability. The method uses the farm's existing resources without added costs, creating a self-sufficient environment where nothing goes to waste. By integrating livestock warmth into the greenhouse, Amish farmers create a harmonious, interdependent system that benefits both the plants and the animals. Amish knowledge is not something that can be bought. It's passed down through generations, carefully preserved within families. What makes the Amish unique isn't just their simple tools, but the wisdom behind how they use them. Especially in farming and greenhouse heating, their techniques are rarely found in written form. Instead, they are handed down through an oral tradition, taught by example from grandfather to father to son. This knowledge includes hands-on skills, like testing soil warmth with bare hands before planting, crafting the right mix of straw and manure for safe compost heat, and positioning greenhouses to catch the low winter sun in every corner. They even know the best times to close vents or feed a stove to prevent condensation. While each family may tweak these practices slightly, the core methods are built on generations of careful observation and a deep connection to the land. It's not fast knowledge, but it's rich, reliable, and enduring. When an Amish family sets out to build a greenhouse, it's rarely a task they face alone. Neighbors come together, offering their hands, tools, and shared wisdom, turning the project into a communal effort. This spirit of collaboration not only leads to stronger, more efficient structures, but also reinforces the bonds that hold their community together. During harsh winter spells, this mutual support becomes even more vital. Families may temporarily move plants into a larger, warmer greenhouse, share extra firewood without hesitation, or offer seedlings to neighbors whose early crops didn't survive the cold. It's more than just food cultivation. It's community cultivation, rooted in humility, generosity, and teamwork. While such cooperation is rare in modern urban life, for the Amish, it's the foundation of both their survival and the success of their greenhouses. Amish greenhouses stand apart not just in how they function, but in what they avoid, namely plastic waste and dependence on the electric grid. While most commercial greenhouses rely on plastic pots, seed trays, heating mats, and disposable polyethylene covers, the Amish take a different path rooted in sustainability and self-reliance. Instead of throwaway materials, they use handmade clay pots or wooden seed trays and build greenhouse walls from recycled windows, often salvaged from old barns or gifted by their English neighbors. Tools are carefully repaired rather than discarded, and heat comes from wood stoves or compost piles instead of electric mats or propane burners. These greenhouses may look humble, even worn, but they work year after year with consistent results. More than just a money-saving measure, this low-tech, low-waste approach keeps the Amish independent from fragile global supply chains. So when plastic prices rise or energy costs spike, the Amish greenhouse continues, quietly and reliably, unaffected by the chaos beyond their fields. Even the floors of Amish greenhouses are thoughtfully designed, reflecting their deep understanding of natural insulation and heat management. While most people focus on the structure's walls and roof, the Amish pay close attention to what lies underfoot. Instead of concrete, which tends to hold cold and create condensation problems, they prefer more natural, functional materials. Packed earth is used for its ability to absorb and release heat gradually, while wood chips provide both insulation and moisture control. Stone or gravel paths are strategically placed to collect solar heat during the day and improve drainage. In colder months, straw or hay is often spread between rows, not just for insulation, but to slowly compost and release mild warmth. These seemingly small choices make a big difference, especially on freezing January mornings when every extra degree of warmth helps keep plants and the people tending them more comfortable. At the heart of every Amish greenhouse, behind the wood stoves, compost piles, and handmade row covers, is a guiding philosophy that shapes their entire approach to growing. It begins with the principle of living within limits. The Amish don't try to bend nature to their will. Instead, they grow what the season allows, choosing crops that naturally thrive in the colder months rather than forcing summer plants to grow out of season. They deeply value what they already have, making use of old glass panes, clay pots, and even horse manure, wasting nothing. Their methods are also rooted in care for the land. Through composting, planting cover crops, and practicing thoughtful crop rotation, they improve soil health year after year. Rather than relying on modern conveniences, the Amish embrace a hands-on relationship with their environment. There's no thermostat to rely on. They use their senses, their experience, and their constant attention to guide their actions. Above all, the Amish believe in community over competition. Knowledge is shared freely, not hoarded or patented, and neighbors help one another without expectation of payment. It's this deep-rooted philosophy that makes their greenhouse methods not only sustainable, but profoundly effective. In an era marked by energy crises, climate change, and increasingly unstable food systems, the Amish offer more than just nostalgic simplicity. They present a working model for the future. Their greenhouses, powered not by electricity or modern apps, but by deep wisdom, careful planning, and resourceful design, show us that food can be grown with minimal environmental impact, low cost, and remarkable resilience. If the power were to go out tomorrow, Amish greenhouses would remain standing, still warm, still growing, and still feeding families. Perhaps it's time we reconsider the tendency to label their lifestyle as outdated and begin to learn from it. In a world that constantly seeks the next big innovation, the Amish quietly remind us that sometimes the oldest methods are still the most effective. That's a wrap on our video. The Amish showcase how simple, time-honored techniques can enable sustainable living without reliance on modern technology. By utilizing passive solar design, wood-burning stoves, compost heat, and natural insulation, they create thriving greenhouses even in the harshest winters. Their methods reflect a deep respect for nature, community, and the environment, demonstrating that off-grid living is both achievable and effective. Are you inspired by these low-tech, high-impact solutions? How could you incorporate similar sustainable practices into your own life? Let us know in your comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insights on off-grid living and eco-friendly gardening.